Again, today we're going to be doing an upward facing spinal twist. So this is there are a couple of different options we can do to transition into it and out of it, but I just want to show you what it's going to look like first. So the basic pose is basically a reverse tabletop with a full spinal twist. You'll notice I'm looking down at the ground, so my C-spine is looking down, and my thoracic spine is perpendicular because I've got my arms nice and perpendicular to the ground, and then my lumbar spine is is in line with my pelvis. So it's a big spinal twist to the whole part of your body. So that's just my left hand down, and this is what it's like, my right hand down. Still trying to keep those hips square, trying to get those arms perpendicular, trying to get my gaze down to the ground. So that's sort of the advanced option. There are a couple ways to scale it. But the basic premise is we're just trying to get a big spinal twist with the hips facing up and the head looking down. So we're twisting the whole spine like a big towel being wrung out. There are a couple ways to transition in and out of it. The easiest sort of like not least athletic, but least sexy version is setting up with a reverse tabletop. So the way you do that is you have your feet about hips distance apart from each other. You have your legs fully extended, your hands placed right by your hips, and you have your fingertips facing away from your feet. And then from here, you lift your hips, lift your chest, and try to relax your head so it's in line with the rest of your body. In this position is the reverse tabletop. You'll notice my knees, hips, and shoulders are all in line, and my shins are a little bit bending back towards me, or they're perpendicular with the ground. I just don't want them over those knees, over the toes. And my shoulders are directly over my hands. It's a big shoulder opener too. And from here to open up to the spinal twist, you lift one arm up and look down. Big important thing is as you twist, you want to make sure that you don't drop that hip. You want to pull that hip to really squeeze that butt, press that heel into the ground, press those toes into the ground as well. Grab that ground through that whole lower body. So you're really active in this pose all the way through your body. And with this, I like to try to make my elbow pits either away from my body or up a little bit more externally rotated is better. And that gets the whole body real good. And then to transition to the other side, I lower back down to that reverse tabletop. You can drop the hips a little bit. I like to reestablish that good strong tabletop. Maybe drop the hips and then transition, lift into that pose. It's really difficult. It's very, very taxing to go from here directly into the reverse tabletop, directly into the next side. It's very demanding. You'll feel it in your shoulders real quick. And so that's sort of the most straightforward way to get into this upward facing spinal twist. The funner version is you're in a down dog. You lift one leg up in a three-legged dog. Notice my hand, shoulders, hips, foot, and knee are all in a straight line, or at least as close as I'm going to get. And from here, I'm going to spin open, pivoting on this bottom foot, open. And I'm still in the same general position, but it's the cooler transition, and my airborne foot is now off of my mat. So I have to turn a little bit, get a little bit off the mat, and then from here I can pivot back on that foot, boom, back into down dog, lift the other leg up, pivot around, get into that cool downward facing spinal twist, really fun. It's also called wild thing in yoga. And that's how you transition using down dog. That's really fun. It's a good active way to get into that pose. But if you got junky shoulders, it can be a little gnarly. And pivoting on the ball of that foot can get a little tricky. Learning how to twist around. Other ways to scale this, I find that because of the part of the tabletop that is really difficult, squeezing the butt, staying active through the whole lower limb. So if we take that out of the equation, still trying to get a big spinal twist out of this, go into a kneeling position, try to lift those hips up, sort of like a bridge pose. And what I do is I'm leaning back, plant my hand a little bit far away from my butt. So just for clarity's sake, I like leaning back here so that when I lift my hips, I'm still looking down at the ground, still getting a big spinal twist, but it's not as perpendicular, a little bit easier on the whole body. But leaning back, really trying to lay back down there. It's very easy to go lateral off to the side. I just now demoing it, so you should see how easy it is for yourself. But just to show you what the scaled down version looks like is big spinal twist, same general mechanics. Try to get those elbow pits facing up. It's okay if they're that way, but just make sure they're not pointing down towards your knees. Big twist, come back into a kneeling position, get the other hand down, just like in a reverse tabletop. You can even lift those hips just to simulate that, and then turn to the other side. Really good way to scale it down so the whole lower body isn't in the equation. But what I would recommend is just doing 6 poses on each side. So boom, 1, hit a reverse tabletop, boom, then get to the other side, boom. That's 1 full rotation. Try to hit it 6 times each side. You'll feel your guts moving around. It's a really great one. It's a very good spinal twist. Very good for circulation. You'll feel different afterwards, I promise. So enjoy. This is a great complement to the downward facing or squat based spinal twist. So throw those in, you'll feel a whole lot more mobile afterwards.